Welcome, friends.
Hello, friends.
We're glad you could join us once again.
Always. It's always wonderful to connect with you each week. We weren't able to be here last week, but we're happy to see you this week.
Happy April.
Yes, happy April.
A new month has begun, and it's going great guns, and we've got the eclipse to look forward to.
Oh, right.
I hope
Yes.
everybody's planning to take part in that and view it at least. I guess it's once kind of in a lifetime type situation.
It's important to really take a
Yes.
moment to enjoy those amazing bits of nature.
Yes, and things that happen
For sure.
that are unusual, and that is unusual.
Yes.
Well, we've had some cold weather, we've had some warm weather, and that's kind of the way spring is always hot and cold and hot and cold.
Hot and cold and hot and cold.
Yes, so I came by the peach trees this morning just to see if they were still there. They've been blooming beautifully, and I'm really kind of worried about that the frost that we had for a couple of nights in a row may have nipped those, and we may not get peaches this year.
I don't know. They're still blooming, so
They're tough, and
They are.
I did talk to them a little bit and told them, you're strong and
You
hang
can
in
do
there.
this. You can do hard things.
Yes, because we surely look forward to those peaches.
Oh,
each and every summer.
absolutely. Oh, so yummy.
Yes.
Yeah, and our early spring herbs.
Yes, all those things are coming
Yes,
up right now.
all those things are coming up
Mhm.
right now. The peach trees are blooming, and also the dandelions
Yes.
are blooming, and the
Oh,
chickweed and the violets, and some of those three things are really our favorite
Mhm.
early spring herbs. Most people think of them as weeds in their yard, but they're not. They are herbs, and they are edible, and they are delicious and wonderful. And so chickweed and violets are both very cooling and kind of succulent. And a lot of people, if you don't spray, you probably have those in your
Mhm.
yard, and they're wonderful for eating and adding to salads. Violets, you can eat both the leaves and the flowers. They have beautiful little heart-shaped leaves. The heart-shaped leaves are really the telltale, because violets can really be any color, not just violet, but they could be deep purple or yellow or white. Violets come in a lot of different colors, and they are really, really yummy. Both the leaves and the flowers are really yummy. And then, of course, dandelions. Dandelions. People think of dandelions as a weed. If you Google dandelions, generally what comes up is how to get them out of your yard, how to eradicate them. And I think that's just so sad, because did you know the Latin name of dandelions, Taraxacum officinale, actually means official remedy for disorders? Did you know that? Dandelions are not native. They were brought here on purpose because they're such a wonderful food and medicine. And so,
And possibly they could have been tucked into the hems of the skirts or the
yeah.
linings in the pockets of the people coming over, the immigrants,
Yeah.
just so they would have that first food.
A lot of times that's how seeds were carried. It snuck in the hems of garments, which is so wonderful to think about that, and think about the effort that it took to get those plants that people knew they relied on and they would miss so much from their homeland, and how they would get them here and safely, and that they would that I can't even imagine
But that was
the effort.
food.
That was food, you
That
bet.
was
You can
foremost in their mind.
Yeah, so dandelions, a lot of people say that they're great early food for the pollinators, and of course they are. They're
Yeah.
also food for us. You can eat the flowers, you can eat the leaves, you can eat the roots of dandelions. So, once dandelions are coming up, I am eating dandelions from the moment they appear in the yard until the moment they disappear in the winter time. And then usually it is winter before they actually disappear. And so we add the leaves to salads, but I also just eat the leaves plain. And I add leaves to when I cook my eggs in the morning. I'll go out and I'll grab some dandelion leaves. I'll wash them off. Most herbs we don't wash, because sometimes it'll wash off the constituents of the herbs and make them less medicinal, less of a healing agent. But dandelion and plantain both, they tend to get dirt splashed on them when it rains. And so those tend to actually be dirty sometimes if you're getting the leaves towards the bottom. A lot of times I'll try to just collect the dandelion leaves that are taller, and then I don't have to wash those. I don't generally wash those then. And I just snip them off with my fingers and bring them in and chop them up and put them into my eggs with my onions even in the mornings. And so they're marvelous to eat, and such a great wild green and a great bitter. Bitter is a really undervalued flavor in our culture, and it's such an important flavor for our health. So eat your dandelion greens. And usually, if your yard has been sprayed, you want to wait at least 3 years until you eat out of your yard. So hopefully, if you haven't been spraying, you can eat the dandelion leaves out of your own yard. And if you have been spraying, maybe you can find something someplace else close by where you can gather some dandelion leaves.
Edge of a park or someplace.
Yeah, well, yeah, if it's not a sprayed park,
not been
unfortunately,
sprayed,
yeah.
yes.
For those who are local, a lot of times the Baker wetlands are a good place to go to gather some of those things.
We kind of know the areas that haven't been,
Yes.
and that's a good thing to know.
It's important to know that for sure.
One of the things I like about the wild herbs, especially, is that with the violets and the dandelion, is that we use the flowers. And with the dandelion, you hold the calyx with your fingers and then pull out the petals and sprinkle them on your salad, sprinkle them on your egg, anything like that. In fact, there's a recipe, maybe in my book, for dandelion cookies. And it's using the little petals from the flowers. And if it's not in the book, you can use the one for lavender and just substitute the petals.
You bet. Any shortbread cookie recipe will work. Just toss some dandelion petals in there.
And violets are so pretty, on chicken salad or anything like that.
Put those on top of your cookies.
Yes. The other thing is redbud, the flowers.
Yes.
And they have been blooming here, and they may be close to their end shortly now, but they have been beautiful, and they are a spark of something pretty and bright.
They are such a bright color.
Add those things too.
Yeah, and even the flowers of ground ivy and purple dead nettle and henbit can all be used too. Those are all edible, wild, early spring greens.
I think it's a fascinating thing because there are so many early spring wild herbs, whichever you want to call them, as well as the flowers that can be eaten. And there was a purpose for those. And then we need to get back to some of that, I do believe.
Oh, for sure. It's so much better for us than anything you buy at the grocery store.
So very much.
Much more nutrition.
Well, as you know, in last week I talked about the 52-week challenge that I'm participating in. And this has been quite a program. It is a free program. It comes out of France. And of course, I think a lot of our really pretty embroideries and stitcheries are coming from that direction, England, France, and so on. This 52-week challenge was introduced to me by a friend in our stitching group. And since then, since I talked about it actually last time, run across quite a few people that are working with it or want to jump in and get started. I started 8 weeks late, but I'm caught up already. This is the first week I'm caught up, which I'm excited to say. I want to share with you the project that I did the week before last. And it was a very interesting one. It was a week of spring equinox. She had us do 2 booklets, little booklets, that'll go into our big stitch book that we're making. All these will go on pages, and they'll end up being 52 weeks, so 52 pages. And the 2 booklets were based on this verse. If you love something, set it free. If it comes back to you, it's yours. That was something to think about. And that's what this is all about. What kind of perspective do I get from that? And the first thing that came to my mind was the movie Frozen. Let it be, let it be. And I just thought, let it be. That's what we need to do more of in our life, I believe. Let some things be. Sometimes I get to be a worrywart. I get to tend to think on things a little maybe more than I should. And this was just called Let It Be. So, if you had a raw edge on a fabric, you let it be. If it's a little wonky, and that's a word she loves to use, you let it be. Just let things go. Don't worry about things quite so much. Well, we made up 2 little booklets. And this is the first booklet that was made in spring equinox. I made the 2. This is the first one. And this is actually 2 pieces of fabric put together. I stitched down the side here, and this made a little booklet. Then you open it up, and inside it says, if you love something, set it free. I use red lettering. And then next page, I have a feather. Okay, this is the one I put into my stitch book, my slow stitching book. The front says, I decided to put Let It Be on the front because that was the first thing that came to my mind. This is a piece of lace, and I did put a little sprigs of red cedar under it. Smells good. Well, the next book that I made was different. It was made with the same stitching, although I reversed it. The words became that very light green. Now, those words may end up disappearing because that verse says, if it comes back to you, it's yours. Here's the catch. we needed to bury that book in the earth to let it go and see if it comes back.
Let it go.
But before we did that, I laid it out and wrapped it up with some botanicals from nature. I had forsythia blooms, yet barely hanging on, but I put them into the booklet. I had a petal from great grandma's purple iris, little mini iris. I put it in, and I knew it would stay in the pages probably right away. There was a grape hyacinth I put in. Dandelion leaves I added. I wrapped other onion skins and so on. I wrapped it all up with a little lichen-covered branch, and I rolled it all up. And on top then I put onion skins, and I put a rusty key. The key represents something to me that says, maybe that is the key to life. We just need to let it be, let it go.
Love that.
A little more than we do. I bundled it all up, tied it up, and I buried it in a secret spot.
Ooh.
Down in the earth. Now I have moles and voles and coons and squirrels, and I'm hoping one of them does not dig it up and take it away.
Right.
But if it does, I have to let it be. This was the whole jest behind it. Don't get too attached. Let it be. Let it go. And so we will dig it up or unearth it on summer solstice.
Oh, wonderful. So spring equinox to summer solstice.
Exactly.
Love it.
12 weeks in that time. And so every now and then I think about it. I wonder what it's doing. I don't know how it's going. But when I put it into the earth, then I blessed it. And I knew that I would it may be there and it may not. And when I finished, I walked away and took a deep breath. And that deep breath just came automatically. Like, wow. I let it be.
Oh, I love that.
And to me, that's, it has a metaphor with life. We just have to work with it and let it be sometimes, and sometimes we don't. But we work with it. So that is my second book, and I can't wait to see what that's going to be. And we'll show you a little video of my process of rolling it up and bundling it up and putting the little herbs into it.
Yeah.
I'll be anxious to show you also what it turns out to be.
We'll be anxious to see it.
Stay tuned.
You'll be anxious to see it.
I will be most anxious to see it.
Oh, how wonderful. So some of the things that you put in there will probably, they'll dye that fabric and they'll make it their own mark on that fabric, then, won't they?
The rains come down, it soaks it, they'll absorb, they'll
heat, cold,
yes.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
So it's a little bit like eco dyeing in one regard. There's so many ways of doing it.
Yeah.
But this was one.
And the lesson of letting go of control, right?
Yes.
Letting go of perfectionism.
Yes.
I love it.
Yep.
That's great.
Yes. So that's part of my challenge. So I'm always anxious for the next week to come to see what is the next project to do. And I'll share a few of them with you as we go along.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the comments below if you want to join in on that 52 week. You can jump in probably anywhere.
Or you might want to do it next year.
Yeah, for sure.
And so with that, we're open this.
Yes, we are open this weekend, this Friday and Saturday, the first 3 Fridays and Saturdays each month. So we hope that you'll stop in and see us in one of the weekends that we're open this month.
Yes, and we've added a few new things to the shop.
We have.
As well as we're going to have 2 new classes, and we'll talk about those more next week, on making your own market basket and on making a pine needle basket.
We're bringing in some guest instructors.
Yes,
we're excited about that.
There's been lots of excitement. So I would like to read a little quote from the April chapter. And this is time, of course, to read it if you haven't read it already. It's called I Love Spring Anywhere. But if I could choose, I would always greet it in a garden. It's by Ruth.
Hear, hear. It's always fun to see our old friends come up in our gardens and in our yardens too.
Yes. So with that, we'll plan to see you next week.
Have a wonderful week. Good earth blessings to you.